The truth is often stupid.
Trust the fuckhead.
Hey, folks. This is your host, Arini, and this is the podcast. How are you folks doing out there? I am doing absolutely miserably, and I'm going to blame that all on proprietary video codecs and audio issues, and particularly Macintosh. Screw Macintosh, terrible bloody software company. The only thing that's like, if it weren't for Macintosh, PC, Microsoft wouldn't be good. Anyway, I've got Zerse here with me tonight, and this is going to be the complaining hour. Welcome to the free-floating hostility hour. How are you doing, Zerse?
I'm doing pretty well, actually. A little contradictory. To be honest, I'm alright. It's just, there are some things that certainly mess with you, so we can chat about that.
We just spent about 40 minutes trying to record this bloody call.
Yeah, we actually have, That is not even an understatement. That is true.
Yeah, I finally had to update MP3 Skype recorder. It's this endless series of updates on software, removing features, adding advertisements, and just being incompatible and contradictory. Maybe I'm just an idiot. Okay, like that is a distinct possibility that I will concede exists. But I used to run Red Hat Linux, and I only quit because I don't have time for it. I don't have time to try and teach Red Hat how to use Microsoft Word or like video editing software. I don't have time for that, and so I finally.
You use Sony Vegas to edit your videos, right?
Yeah, I'm not proud to admit that, but yes.
Yeah.
It's a habit I got into. I know all the shortcuts, and it's honestly a very good program. I mean, I know Adobe Premiere is the professional one, but Sony Vegas does everything I need to do. Maybe one day I'll graduate to Final Cut when I start doing 3D animations, but
yeah.
But yeah, trying to teach Linux to do that is. I got to the point where I had to say, you know what, I'm not making any money being a Linux expert. Maybe I should just use Windows. And I just go and Macintosh up Windows on me.
Yeah, I honestly personally don't really like Macintosh computers too much. I don't know, it feels too complicated for no reason, in my opinion.
Well, it's like an airport. It's very simple and very complicated.
Yeah. I think, honestly, for some odd reason, I had this conversation with my friends the other day. It's like, for mobile phones, Windows software is absolute garbage, right? But Apple software for their phones is fantastic. Like, iPhones works pretty well. But when it comes to PC computers and laptops, everyone's like, Macintosh, this sucks, it's complicated, PC, simple, easy to use. So, I mean, I guess, strengths and weaknesses in different companies.
Macintosh is what my mom uses. It's perfect for iPhones because you're not a phone is not a computer. Okay, and I'm a BlackBerry man. Just for the pure obstinacy of I demand actually having a keyboard on my computing device. But it's still not a computer. I mean, it is, but you can't. This tiny little screen, the lack of right click is what makes a computer in my opinion.
Right click. You can't right click. It's not a computer. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, simply put, it's not a computer. Not in the true sense. It's not a desktop or a laptop. It is a device that computes. So by definition, but it's not really like a personal computer. So I see what you're saying.
You know what? Trying to do computing on a phone or a Macintosh is like trying to write poetry in Klingon. It's an artificial language that does not have enough adjectives. In theory you can do it, in practice, get a real computer. And honestly, with all the BS with Windows 8, 8.1, I swear to God, here's the saddest thing. Windows 8 was designed for tablets.
Yeah, exactly.
8.1 is for adult computers. 8 worked better.
Yeah, I did not even upgrade to 8.1.
Good, no, and anybody out there, do not upgrade. I used to be able, like, you have to hit the Windows key, so, you can't install it. You hit the Windows key, then you search for it. On Windows 8, the search would come up immediately. 8.1, my computer freezes for about 20-30 seconds. It's a nightmare. Do not upgrade. Anyway, so this has been the PC hour with your experts, and well, thank you very much for being on the show, and hope you guys learned something. I'm going back to Linux with my next box if I can. I pray. I'm an ornery old cuss. Get off my lawn. So I think we were going to talk about the MGTOW movement.
Yeah, which I'm not lie, is a very strange thing to me now, because originally, a couple of months ago, I don't know if you ever saw it, but like I did a debate with the Manhood Academy. Are you familiar with these guys?
Loosely. Now,
yes.
I got an email, I don't know if it was by them or by somebody that read them, saying I should check out their book. This was about 3 or 4 years back, and I took a glance at it. And everything I saw seemed pretty good, but it wasn't really, at that point in my life, it wasn't revolutionary. If I were 24, it probably would have been. But at the time, I never really got into it.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go off your perspective on all this.
Yeah, Manhood Academy. The professor is what he calls himself. He's not a stupid guy. You'll never hear me call him dumb. He's not dumb.
Oh, Professor Manhood. Yeah.
Very abrasive son of a bitch. I will say that. Very abrasive guy. Loves to throw out the word faggot.
Good for
him. But anyway, I remember he made a whole video where he was criticizing MGTOW. Again, this is a couple months ago. And I'm telling you, the way, from what I see, my point of view, the MGTOW community has definitely changed a lot in these last couple of months. Because from what I saw there, MGTOW is a lot smaller, and it's just a group of men, really just focusing on themselves, making themselves better. And they just said, we don't want girlfriends, we're going to leave it alone, we're just going to focus on ourselves. And it was that simple, really, of a concept. When I first saw it, and from what I had seen, so I went on to debate with the professor, because I love that MGTOW community. I was like, this is fantastic, And I was like, dude, you can't really get upset with these MGTOWs, because they don't want to talk to women. That's their prerogative. And if they got treated badly, let them, have some time to heal and get better. If they never want to date a woman again, that's their prerogative, But personally, I will say, at first, I actually thought of MGTOW as something more temporary, like something that you just do for the time being. You just, you say you work on yourself, you make yourself better, you become financially stable, and then after all of that, you then make the choice. Do I want a woman or not? That's all up to you. As I see it now, it certainly isn't like that. Now it has leaned more towards being really vitriolic towards the behavior of women. They really, really viciously criticize women, and it sounds really, really better. And this isn't everybody, with every conversation you kind of have to preface with this is not everyone, because all MGTOWs, they're different people, but you can see some similarities in a lot of them. They're very vitriolic people, and some of them are great. Some of them, that's why I subscribe to them. I listen to them a lot. They're really nice people. They like talking, and others, they're just really angry. It's a mixed bag. It's just like a bunch of different people there, but it's changed a lot from what I've seen. I guess is the only thing I can really say. Originally, it was just a group of guys who just wanted to make themselves better, and that's the MGTOW I truly, deeply respected. I wish he kind of leaned more towards that instead of just being angry all the time.
Yeah. Hey, let me amend something. You asked me if I knew. You know what, Professor Mentu? I
don't know if that's his name. I just know he calls himself a professor.
I know him by reputation, of people I trust. Very good guy. I never really got into his blog just because like I said, when he was writing at that point, it's stuff I already knew. It's stuff that I agreed with, wasn't really getting into. Great, solid guy from what I hear. Really hope to have a beer with him at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe different. Personally.
It's the same one. Things are clicking together now. I drink a lot, so it takes me a while to remember things. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I guess he's different, like in person. Again, like I say, he's not a dumb guy. He's just a very abrasive individual, very difficult to talk to when he gets riled up. From my experience, at least, I think the debate's still on their old channel, because I know they got a new channel. I saw it pop up in my suggestions feed. I defended the MGTOW community. I'll still defend MGTOWs too, even now, even though I see a lot of them really angry. I still think it's needed. I do think it is needed to have a group of men who want to focus on making themselves better. But I think that should be the primary focus. I don't really think talking about women so angrily if you don't want to have much to do with them is much of a solution. Actually, they don't even want to have, some of these guys don't even want to have solutions. So I don't really understand what is the purpose of them being so angry with women if they don't have the need to think the thing.
Well,
and these are guys who, it's not everybody, it's just those in particular,
Well, that's half of my issue with all of this. Listen, on the Red Pill subreddit, this was a couple of years ago. I don't know what's going on there now, but they posted basically like the stages of grief from taking the Red Pill.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you first take the Red Pill, usually it's because you went through something really traumatic in your life. You know what? Maybe it was a really harsh breakup, or maybe you got, completely raped in divorce court, or maybe you got accused of domestic violence. That was it for me. That's what really opened my eyes to it, was going through a false domestic violence accusation. And all of a sudden I started questioning all these previous assumptions I'd had, and one by one they fell apart like spit on cotton candy. There was nothing to them.
Gotcha.
And wait, where was I going with that? So there's the stages of grief when you take the Red Pill and you realize you've been lied to your entire life. You realize that you get angry at first, or you're really hurt at first. And so on the Red Pill subreddit, they said, listen, this is a space for guys to talk like guys. This is the locker room. So we're not allowing any women in here. Return of Kings has the same policy. Sorry, no women allowed. There are good women out there. We're not saying there ain't. But there's no women allowed on here because it's the locker room. And guys that have been hurt need to get it out. They need to be able to be angry.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
That's normal and healthy. But what I'm seeing... Alright, the whole reason this is an issue is that basically my buddy Aaron Clary made an offhand comment about how there's a lot of guys calling themselves MGTOWs because they're too afraid to go out there and meet women. Instead of... they're not bitter over anything they're not bitter over a divorce. They're not angry about something that happened to them. They're afraid of trying in the first place, and so they're adopting the attitude of men that have been through bad stuff. Do you know what it is? It's like pretending that you are the same moral level as a Vietnam vet when you never served in the first place. And then coming up to an actual a veteran like myself and starting to tell me about how the military's just exploiting this, that. Listen, I will be the first one to get furious over anybody that's not getting the treatment they deserve, or anybody that got screwed over by the military, because those are my brothers. But don't you come up to me, Peace Nick, and pretend to be my fucking brother. We're on entirely different teams here. And so this goes into the second point, And I want to get this out here early because it's not something I'm trying to brag about. But when you want to talk about MGTOWs, I'm one of the old school ones. I am one of the originals. Yeah, I'm not the second coming of Christ or anything like that. But like Rob Fetters is the guy that invented the term MGTOW. Him and the other group on the old men going their own way forum. And they invented it because it wasn't supposed to be pronounceable. They did not want it to be an acronym or an initialism. Or sorry, they did want it to be an initialism, not an acronym. And he's linked my site in the past. So I think that qualifies me as having enough street cred to tell these new MGTOWs, y'all don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. And I think one thing I don't know, I do kind of feel bad for, this is one thing that I've noticed a lot, I'm kind of switching little gears here, is how some of them, well, if anyone has like a dissenting opinion about them, or like if you'll see like someone will make like with Aaron Clary, you know, it's not just Aaron Clary. I think the same thing kind of happened with Karen Strawn, because I guess she was defending traditionalism or something like that. She got a firestorm. This girl, I'm gonna go hang out with her later this week. Alex got a firestorm because she made a video, which technically speaking, she wasn't really. I guess she was criticizing the attributes of MGTOW, but she didn't say MGTOW specifically. A bunch of MGTOWs caught wind of it. They made multiple video responses to her and just shot her down. And a lot of people still don't like her to this day because of the video she made. And the thing that gets me, it just kind of frustrates me a little bit, is like, these are supposed to be like grown-ass men, like adults. I'm like, guys, people are allowed to feel differently. Like, it's okay if someone doesn't feel the way you feel. You know, and if someone says a mean thing to you, again, you're an adult, you can just pick your balls up and leave. You know, you don't have to deal with that shit. And what kills me is that I'll see some of these guys who say, you know, we don't care about what anyone says about us. I'm like, well, evidently you do, because when someone says something mean about you, or if someone says, I don't know, something just indifferent, or just, if someone says something you don't fucking like, and they'll react like it's no one's fucking business to get really angry. You know, and again, like I said, I got crushed. It's not everyone, you know. I don't want anyone to start bitching at me because I'm criticizing the men who are doing this shit. But seriously, and I've noticed this a lot, and I just don't understand, you know, how can you simultaneously tell me you don't care, but you very clearly do care because someone said something that you don't like. I'm like, guys, we're adults here, you know, you can feel different. And kind of like with Karen Strawn again, I don't know everything that happened there. I know Razorblade Candy, you know who Razorblade Candy is, right? He's he does text-to-speech voice videos.
Oh, I can't. Why not just record your own voice? Okay, listen, the CIA's already recording all of the porn that you masturbate to. You know, why not? No civilian is going to figure out who you are from your voice. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't. It doesn't bother me too much, but I just, just trying to bring him up because I haven't even finished the whole video he made. But I guess he made a video where he was trying to pwn Karen Strawn because Karen made a long-winded comment and brought in a bunch of MRAs, and then there's the MRAs we could chat about a little bit. Because one thing I had never noticed before, a lot of people said MRAs are turning into the male brand of feminists, and at this point, I can't completely agree with that. They certainly are not feminists, but I can see why some people will make fun of MRAs because of some of the silly shit that they do. Is some just get involved in stupid drama that just is not conducive to anything. You know, it's one thing to have a massive disagreement where you guys talk and try to figure things out. It's another thing to go like he said, she said, like this is an episode of fucking Degrassi. Like I remember I saw a comment on like Diana's video, and someone was like, "Did I just step into Degrassi?" And I was like, seriously, it's just so much. That's another just so much drama that's just going on between like I guess you could say the manosphere. And I think there's one guy, Mortal MGTOW. He said, he's noticed the chaos, and I completely agree with him, man. And like he's one of the MGTOWs I like. He's a very smart guy and really wants to focus the so-called movement and doing something. And I think the focus should be just, instilling a level of self-esteem and worth in men. But it's just this drama just really upsets me a lot. It's just not conducive to anything.
When it becomes more about the drama than about the subject matter. Like listen, I've got friends all over the goddamn place, okay? I'm friends with Doc Illusion, and okay, I haven't met Roosh in person. I really hope to share a beer with him at some point. But Doc Illusion really doesn't like Roosh. And I disagree. Like, listen, this is the thing about guys. They have beefs with one another. But Doc Illusion, he's honorable about the whole thing. He doesn't like Roosh, I know it. Okay. He'll concede sometimes that Roosh has some good points, and it's like, alright, as long as you're reasonable and honorable. I'm friends with Matt Forney and Paul Elam. And, they got a beef with each other, but it's still an honorable beef. I understand why they have the beef with each other, but they're not... that when they have argued with each other, they argued with each other up front and in the open, and they outright called each other faggots. They didn't sneak around, and this is what really gets me with these MGTOWs. And now, right off the bat, if you are feeling offended right now, think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And am I describing you? And is the person I'm about to critique, is that you? Because if it's not you, I'm not critiquing you.
Thank you. Exactly.
If I say feminists are delusional bitches that have never worked a day in their life, and you consider yourself a feminist, and you work at a fabrication plant, and you're whatever, I'm not talking about you. I'm not criticizing you. I'm talking about what I'm noticing from the movement. And if anybody wants to say, the manosphere is full of these fake game bloggers that have anonymous names, and I don't believe for a day that any of them got laid, I'll say, yeah, you're right. Pisses me the fuck off. So when I see these MGTOWs, and they appear in the comments section making these snide remarks and making all these... They don't know anything about the movement. All they understand is popularity and social status. You're attacking my favorite guy, and so you must be an idiot. You must be... Geez, I just covered this in my video on Monday about how it's like there's the two heresies. So because I don't endorse rejecting all women and spending every day hating them, I must want you to be a slave in marriage.
No. And that's one thing that I say all the time. Like, I'll never knock any man for not wanting to get married. I feel that's your prerogative. I'll never knock any man for not wanting to have children. That's your prerogative. You can do whatever you want to do. And I think that's perfectly fine. I have no issue with that. The thing that gets me is, I'll say, I personally would like to get married, and then I had a couple of people who call me stupid and get upset with me. Actually, I remember one time, I remember I fucked up once, way back when, and I said that I wasn't 100% against gynocentrism. And I'll completely admit I was wrong, because what I originally thought was gynocentrism was just having relationships with women. I was ignorant on the topic, so that's my fault. And a lot of people got upset with me, but some of them, and this is how I know they're different MGTOWs, and some of them really just kind of chatted with me, and just like, Zerse, I don't really think you understand what gynocentrism is. It's not just relationships with women, it's more, it's more a lot of attention on women at the expense of men, just to put it real briefly. And some of them, again, like I say, will definitely have a conversation and will talk to you, which is why I will still always defend MGTOW. It's just, these other guys, you're talking about Davis, I agree, the drama and the attention seeking, I think is ridiculous, and from those men in particular.
I actually just heard an interesting comment from Mercedes Carrera, actually. I was just reviewing the footage, the interview with her, and she was pointing out, like, are you familiar with the Maiden Mother Crone?
No.
Okay, the Maiden Mother Crone is the 3 stages of female psychology. Like, it's the traditional understanding of the archetypal growth of the woman. Mm-hmm. And she was talking, like, the maiden is the pure, innocent, virginal, like, the mother is the adult woman the mother, the wife, and then the crone is the elder wisdom. But they each have their dark halves, and she was saying that this entire social justice movement is really the dark half of the maiden. Because it's narcissistic, they want to see the world reflected in themselves, they can't think of it, like the mother thinks about other people, and the crone thinks about society. Like the mother thinks about her children and her family, and the crone thinks about the entire society. The maiden just thinks about herself, trying to choose the best man, but the dark maiden wants the entire world to reflect what she does. She doesn't want to be responsible for anything.
Yeah.
So there's women you can talk to about this. I mean, yes, we have a lot of terrible women nowadays. The entire, like, we turn the dance of the sexes into a sex war. And you guys need to arm yourselves, because like it or not, you're going up against armed assailants. Damn straight. But it's often, it's a very emotional interpretation, it's a very angry interpretation, whereas the original, the guy that coined the term MGTOW, it's about understanding how women are different. It's about having a realistic perspective on life. And then, when you know all this, when you get rid of the Candyland veneer of how life is wonderful, it's about going your own way. Figuring out what you want out of life. It doesn't mean screaming, I'm never gonna get married. When you're 20 fucking years. Listen, when you're 20 and you're beautiful and you have friends and you're at university, yeah, okay, it's easy to make such declarations. When you're 50 and you're ugly and nobody wants to talk to you. Stefan Molyneux just did a video on that. It's when you're in your 20s and 30s, you should be building a life, and this means interpersonal connections, it means personal accomplishments, skills, abilities, etc., that leads to you having a community in 20 years' time. Maybe that's with a married woman. Yeah, and again, marriage law is... Yes, I know marriage law is broken.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Do I really need to say anything more? Be cautious. Don't marry the first girl that makes eyes at you.
Yeah, I think that's one lesson I kind of noticed a lot with a couple of my friends is they get so little female attention that even when a toxic woman gives them attention, they just kind of put a lot of into it. And I was that one too when I was younger, so it's not their fault. But I think one thing that I kind of say a lot on my channel is men got to be a little more selective with who they pick.
Well, have you heard the term thirsty man?
Oh yeah, absolutely, all the time.
thirsty
men, yeah.
They will sell you out at the drop of a hat. You could not trust thirsty men.
No, you can't. You can't. You can't really trust thirsty people in general. The thirsty just really means attention seeking. So and I actually got to make a whole video series about thirsty women. So look out for that. But yeah, that's basically they're men who kowtow to women. They are just desperately seeking their attention and their approval. And to that, I understand. You can definitely criticize men like that because that's just unacceptable. But
Well,
yeah, again,
no, I'll be honest. With the whole MGTOW thing, I'm feeling a lot of thirst from some of them.
I can understand why you say that. I can.
And it's inversed. It's like it's upside down thirst, but they are so eager to prove that they don't care what women think of them.
I think, and that's something that happens in a lot of people. Especially, you'll find that in a lot of attention whores, is that they will make a gigantic show of, I don't care about what you have to say. Well, I mean,
you
really show just how much you don't care by telling me you don't care. This whole show of how it doesn't matter to you, that's why you're complaining and halfway crying about it. That is a trait that a lot of attention-seeking people do possess. They'll make a gigantic show of how they don't care about your opinion when evidently they clearly do.
Yeah, it's, as the Beckloff said, the manosphere isn't something you write, it's a genre that you write in. And MGTOW is not a movement, it's a philosophy. In fact, one of the sad things about MGTOW is that the best MGTOW writers wind up quitting and going their own way, and they're no longer, like, they write their piece, they're like, this is how I see the fucking world, and you boys can learn from me or not. I don't care, because that motorcycle's running, I'm getting on it, and I'm driving through the mountains. See ya. Like, myself, the reason I keep making videos, the reason I keep writing is because I'm not writing about feminism. Feminism comes up a lot, but I'm writing about truth and philosophy and beauty and martial prowess. I have things I'm focusing. MGTOW is not something to focus on. It's something to understand, and when you understand it, you put it down and you move on with your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know Bernard Kaplan, right?
Chapin. Yeah,
Chapin.
I had beers
Chapin,
with the guy. What was it, December? Yeah, I crashed on his couch. He is a solid individual, and by the way, he is a lot smarter than you think.
I'm sure he is, but I remember, he probably put it best to me. He's like, I don't need the club to tell me I'm a man going his own way. I just do it. I'm just a man going his own way. And he just put it as simple as that. I was like, there you go, Chan. Yeah, Chapin. It's Chapin, right?
Chapin,
yeah. But really, very interesting guy. I like him. I do. He's a very interesting guy.
The guy's
I guess one thing I will say is I think a lot of people kind of get caught in this trap, and my friend Chaos 6 Fleet kind of brought this to my attention, is some people move really close to a zero-sum game and be like left versus right or MRA versus feminism, and I guess sometimes he does kind of lean a little more towards that, combative right-wing area, but that's the only thing I can really say about him. He's a very intelligent man. I like listening to him.
Oh, and and again, there's a role to be angry.
Yeah.
There's a place, but stop being angry at your brothers in arms. Stop being angry at the wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah, because even though I called myself an anti-feminist for a while, I'm probably gonna drop that and just focus more on responding to stupid shit.
Yeah, because
it really wasn't even feminism that I disliked so much, more as an oversweeping generalization, and the hypocrisy, which is why I even talk about atheist cult members too, or just anti-theists. It's really just gigantic levels of hypocrisy and ignorance that I dislike, and I guess I make more fun of feminism because it's really easy and it's really toxic too. It has a lot of power. For some reason, feminists still have a lot of power in our society, even though a lot of people ridicule it a lot. But that's really why. There's a more focus against hypocrisy and just stupid stuff I see.
The other night, I think I recommended the Fourth Turning to you. In the 48 hours since then, have you managed to finish that book?
No, I haven't got to start on it. You have to send it to me again.
Well, the authors would argue that the millennial generation is a hero generation. And the hero generation wants to be part of an army. And you can... What's that really popular song? It was in the Lego movie about we're all...
Every Day is Awesome?
Yeah, Every Day is awesome. It's all about being part of a team, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the clarion call of the millennial generation. They want to be part of a team. I'm the very tail end of Gen X. Our music was about how we're alienated and alone. We're the nomad generation. Nobody gives a damn about us. We have to survive on our own. And so I get that these millennials want to be part of something bigger. They want to be part of an army. But basing your identity off of ideological maxims? No, the only... Serve the truth is what I'm saying. Is find something true. Always
and to be fair, sorry to cut you off, but I think that's really a gigantic reason why people in general get so upset when you criticize them. I think it's because they link their identity to that label or to that ideology. And so when you say something against it, it's like you're personally attacking them. I think my roommate Sean put it best. It's like too many people confuse what they like with who they are. I think that's just one important thing to point out. But go ahead.
Well, this has been a progressive thing going on for 50 years now. Is the increasing narcissism of the West in general. I recommend the blogger The Last Psychiatrist. Just Google him. He's great. And it's been affecting every generation. But narcissism is essentially the way I dress, the way I speak. I don't have a real identity on the inside. I don't have accomplishments. I don't have self-confidence. I have a shell I put up. And if you contradict that shell, either by exposing a hypocrisy of mine or by out-arguing my ideas, I consider that a personal attack. And Gen X is narcissistic, the boomers are narcissistic, the silents are narcissistic. It's been going on for a long while. But I also find that a lot of the millennials, they want guys like Aaron and myself to be cult leaders. They want us to give them an identity, to tell them what they are, make them soldier, rank and file in our army, and then they get angry when we don't do that. When the real answer is, sorry folks, I don't have a war worth fighting. Listen, if I have a conversation with the Pope, and we declare the Fifth Crusade, then you can be soldiers in my army. But right now, I'm doing the best I can to tell people the truth as I see it, and encourage. And you were saying this to me the other night, that you and I are wrong about a lot of stuff that we say, probably.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
We want to encourage conversation on our channels, not groupthink.
Exactly. Which is why I welcome the fact that everyone doesn't agree with me. I think it's a great thing.
No, and they shouldn't. And it's not a personal attack when somebody disagrees with you.
Exactly.
Like, we have been... we've been steeped in this culture of lies. Because, listen, marketing. Nike sneakers want you to buy their shoes and feel good about yourself without realizing that the two things are connected to one another.
Yeah, that's marketing in a nutshell.
Buy our product because it makes you feel like a person. Whatever person whatever. If you're a goth, go to Hot Topic. If you're a badass dude, buy an AR-15. It'll give you your man card back. If you're whatever you are, here's your identity. You just need to buy our fucking product. And I think what you're trying to do, what I'm trying to do, what MGTOW was originally about is rejecting that whole identity thing.
Yeah.
If there's an army for millennials to fight in, it's the army of free thinking.
And that's the best way to put it. That is the best way to put it.
And I'm sorry to say there's no merit badges when you're a free thinker. There's just a lot of personal embarrassment when you admit you were wrong about something.
Well, the interesting thing about that is, there's never actually anything wrong about being wrong. A lot of people do get really hurt or angry when they get called out for being wrong, but it's okay. I think a lot of people aren't really taught that it is okay to not be right sometimes. Like, it's okay to have to recant. Like, every now and again I'll have to post an annotation of my videos and say, hey, look, I was wrong here, go check out something else, or let me go correct this. It's okay to make mistakes, and that's how you learn, it's perfectly fine. And I learn a lot from the people who subscribe to me all the time. Like, there are a lot of people who are probably smarter than I am that I talk to, and it's fine. I think that's one lesson a lot of people really should learn, that it is okay to be wrong, and it is not a crime to not always have all the answers. I mean, you're only human, so there's only so much one person should really know. I don't know jack shit about electrical engineering, but that doesn't mean that I'm a terrible person, and doesn't even mean I'm stupid, so...
Yeah, I screwed up. I got Aristotle and Plato confused in a recent video I did about Plato and Aristotle.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was so embarrassed. What a why did I, I've got this bad habit of getting all three of the big Greek philosophers confused with one another. And about 4 years ago, I wrote down the one story, in my brain, I wrote down the story about Aristotle, but I subtitled it Plato, and then I say that in the video. I didn't even Google that. Why didn't I think to Google that? Because I'm an idiot, that's why. But that's the reality, is that you make mistakes. We're none of us are perfect. And if you look at the debate tactics, the SJWs in particular, they want to take up anything. They will search through 5 years of tweets.
They really will. That's literally, they really will.
And there's people I like and who I find inspirational and insightful. I won't look through 5 years of their fucking bullshit. And yet they'll do this, and they'll find one thing that was whatever. It could be something that was vaguely offensive, or it could be something that was stupid, or it could be something that was embarrassing. It doesn't matter. They will just search, and then they pat themselves on the back like they're an investigative journalist for reading through 5 years. You're not an investigative journalist. You're a bloody accountant. Except accountants do positive things in the world. And you would think that the generation that... How to put it? You know what? Again, I'm Gen X. I remember before computers. Okay? I remember library cards. Only geeks have library cards now. Everybody had
internet pirates.
and there's a joke that there is the millennial generation. There is porn of 90% of them, or something like that.
Wow.
At least 50.
Yeah, let's put it that way. At least 50.
Back in my day, it was a few Polaroids. You know?
Yeah.
Polaroids. You can pay somebody to destroy a Polaroid. Worst case scenario, you get blackmailed, $10,000, it goes away. Internet generation.
Yeah, it's over. It's a wrap like Christmas. It's over.
You'd think this would be the generation to stop judging people on who they're friends with, on whether or not they're cool, whether or not they said something stupid 5 years ago, etc. And I guess that's really why this whole MGTOW thing frustrates me so much. It's because MGTOW is supposed to be about going your own way. And yet I see the most slavish, identitarian philosophy being embraced by some of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 60% or if it's 6%. It's a very vocal group.
Yeah.
But the SJWs are very vocal, and they're at, best case scenario, 1 out of 20 people are sympathetic with them.
Mm-hmm. But they still manage to have a lot of power for some reason. I just don't know where it comes from. I do not understand the source. Actually, I think I do. I think I might understand the source. I think it's just a lot of people want to do good, and they just don't think critically about what's going on. I might have to expand upon that in the distant future.
Well, I think a huge part of it, and this is something I've been like doing this documentary on Sarkeesian, examining her claims about being harassed and the amount of harassment I've received, and so it's really got me thinking, because I do try and put myself in other people's shoes, trying to understand where they're coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and we're really just beginning to understand this whole internet technology, the many to the many. We used to have these standards of decorum that, if you're sitting around in the bar and you say, well, that Ronald Reagan, he's an asshole, Yeah, you're just sitting at the bar, that's fine. Whereas the guy that's writing the newspaper article, he's not going to title his article, Ronald Reagan is an asshole.
Yeah.
But nowadays, that journalistic line has broken down. Because what's the difference between, I've watched so many people on Twitter just because they do nothing but send insults to me, and I just don't have the time to read them. But really, what is the difference? If I talk about the SJWs are harassing me, or if Anita Sarkeesian says Gamergate's harassing her, even though she has nothing to do with Gamergate.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was I saying? But the thing is that if the national media, if the newspapers were posting dozens of articles laughing at somebody for getting raped or what have you, or targeting some kid in high school that accidentally, shit their pants at prom, and saying, look at how funny this is, we'd say that's a problem. But with the new media, because anybody can be a journalist, and it really blurs the line. I try and hold myself to a very high standard, and I think you do as well. But most of the people out there tweeting are just tweeting insults at one another and animated GIFs and you know what? That teenager nowadays, they shit their pants at prom, and somebody makes a YouTube video with Daft Punk in the background for music. And it gets 2 million hits. Now I'm sure as hell not saying what we need is more FCC in the internet, what we need is more censorship. That's the opposite of what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a confusing new technology, and we're trying to figure it out. And there's a lot of people that behave very uncivilly when they have an anonymous account.
Yeah, true that. I don't know, I think, Stanley put it best, man. With great power comes great responsibility. And it just rings true for everything. It's just, there is a lot of power in anonymity. There's a lot of power in, having the internet or having a lot of this technology. And a lot of people don't respect that power, and they don't respect the fact that, it's not just that you can hurt people, but that you can do a lot of things with it, and it's, a lot of people just resort to being stupid with it. It's just, for lack of a better word, they just kind of squander it, They'll put up absolute nonsense for no reason. And yeah, that's what people want to see. They want to see nonsense.
Yeah,
it's not even like funny nonsense, not even stuff to make you laugh, just nonsense, just stupid shit.
A cod would weep at the libraries we have access to nowadays. And I'm not talking about Sargon. And yet we just, what do we use it for? Sharing funny gifts. So, you know what? I think a lot of folks that listen to my channel, they might have seen a couple of your videos, but they don't really know your background, how you got into this, and it's actually, it's a little bit interesting, just slightly. So you guys can tune out right now, it's not that interesting. But how did you wind up doing these politically incorrect, screw you, this is the way I see it, and I'm going to piss off everybody, and I'll never have a career videos?
Well, the really funny thing is my channel was originally supposed to be dedicated to comedy skits. And what happened was, to get personal, what happened was that growing up, I was a really depressed person, and I had a lot of different things that happened to me in my life. And I always had an innate desire to just kind of want to help people, really do something for other people. And so I figured the best way I could do that is to share a lot of the knowledge that I've gotten throughout the course of my lifetime, and to put it out there in a pretty entertaining way, which is why I'm a really snarky person, by nature, really snarky and sarcastic. And so I figured what I would do is I would just meld the two together, and I'll make some comedy skits with some politically incorrect commentary, And then what happened was, originally, funny thing about how I started talking about feminism, which is really ironic, because I growing up, and it's kind of funny to admit, I really did lean more towards being a quote-unquote male feminist or male ally. But,
well,
really,
go ahead. I once, in the peace studies class I took, I took peace studies, guys. This is how... When I tell you about broken academia. Actually, the prof was bloody awesome. She that actually, negotiated between Palestinians and Israelis. She was solid. It was all the TAs that were giant faggots. But yeah, I once, this one guy next to me in class said, oh, she's a fucking feminist. And Irini, circa, 2003 or whatever, said, well, you like having casual sex, don't you? Yeah. Irini 2015, different fucking opinion, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, we all went to the same public schools. We all read the exact same books. You, me, you think I don't know about all that social justice I'm supposed to believe in?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, it's funny because, really, and when I first started making the criticisms of feminists, I actually made them directly to feminists. I actually made them to get a response from feminists to answer my questions, right? So you can actually see there is a gigantic change in how I do the video responses, and that I was actually trying to get them to talk to me, right? And over time, I realized that a lot of these guys aren't going to talk to me. And that's why I kind of switched more to being really sarcastic about pointing out the hypocrisy and really more focusing on getting people to think about what's going on instead of, just listening to me bullshit them, Like for example, like with the Lacey Green videos, there's absolute garbage in Lacey's videos. And I personally don't even think Lacey believes half the shit that she says. But, and the reason why I make the video responses is to point it out and to say, okay, look, this is some terrible advice. Let's think about something else. Let's try. This is different, and other people will then come in and have different conversations with me. And I think really, like I said, the whole point was to start a discussion with different feminists because it was really the whole rape culture thing that really got me. It was if you go back on my channel,
I'm guessing you honestly thought that they legitimately believed in all of this, and that you could speak to them like a human being. And tell them your perspective that they just weren't aware of. And they'd say, wow, I'm being a little bit of an asshole. Yeah,
that's exactly what I thought. But no, that is not what happened. And so then I started making, and then a lot of other people started coming. Actually, I really didn't start getting a kick in this YouTube thing until I made a video about Elliot Rodgers. When the whole Elliot Rodgers thing happened, I made a video where I said I was Elliot Rodgers. I empathize with him and I understand why he became the way he became, and then that's when people started coming and checking me out.
What a terrible man you are.
When it came to the videos on feminism and on the left wing and all that, that was originally I was really just trying to actually engage in conversation, but over time I kind of changed to more, mock them and make people think about different things at the same time. So. And then there's that, and growing up, I was always bothered with our current society and our culture, because I guess people have always said I had an old man spirit, and there's always been some things that bothered me, and so that's why there are other videos I make where I kind of talk about society, like rap music and different things, and other different stuff that I have on my channel. So it was never really supposed to be revolved around just talking about feminism, but more just kind of talking about the world that I see it, and I guess it's really easy to make fun of feminism, and feminism has a lot of power, which is why I do talk about it a lot. But my channel isn't specifically focused on just criticizing feminists.
It's funny. It's almost the same story as the MacLeod, who... Well, what happened to him is he was just trying to write... He writes landsharkattacks.blogspot. Look, he writes on React. Just go there. He was just trying to write about comic books. He didn't know what the manosphere was, what the MRAs were. And then a bunch of SJW trolls showed up and said, well, you one of those manosphere guys? And he's like, what the hell is the manosphere? And so he looks it up and he says, hey, these guys are alright.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. I didn't even know I was a part of the manosphere. I didn't even, like, I was just talking about stuff and just trying to make people think about different topics. I didn't even know I was considered a part of it. I remember
God saw me, folks! Hallelujah! That's really how it happens. You just stand up one day and say, I'm sick of the bullshit, and then you find out there's a giant culture war that you didn't even know was happening.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even. I don't know. I was always the oddball when it came to things I said. So that's kind of how it all happened. Originally, I was supposed to just make stuff like the Zerse show, just a comedy show that I just put together with myself, just different conversations I would think about, and so then, from there, the video responses, yeah. So I don't know. I've definitely noticed there's definitely been a shift in how I used to do things and how I do things now, and it has been a change over time.
Well, you know what really stands out, and I meant to bring this up way earlier, but like you started off as a comedy show. You were just gonna poke fun at intellectuals that were being a bit inconsistent in your view. You didn't really see a larger agenda or anything like that. And now you're taking on. Well, it doesn't matter who you're taking on because they're all united. Like the mainstream media, the low stream media, they're united against us. But a couple of videos of yours really stood out to me, where you were criticizing the Young Turks and this group of. I swear to God, they looked like they were 16 years old. But they were all angry at this woman that was raised in a lesbian household and then had the audacity to say, "I wish I had a daddy growing up."
Exactly, I remember that one.
And the sheer nastiness coming out. Like now, Cenk was completely misconstrued. Cenk's an asshole.
Yeah.
The hell with Cenk. That guy's a complete prick. What really stood out to me was these kids that were criticizing her and laughing at her and dehumanizing her and treating her like a brainwashed victim unperson. Like it was very vicious. That it's so interesting that these open-minded, however you want to live is okay. And it was a 2-minute hate.
Yeah, the levels of hypocrisy that I see, over on what you call the left wing, and the feminists, is mind blowing to me, really. And I kind of have to wonder how they live with themselves, really. How you can do that level of like double think, or how you can. I don't know. It really does cause a great deal of cognitive dissonance to me. When in that video really actually the funny thing is the original footage for the response to the Young Turks was really angry. I was really angry that they were actually making fun of this woman because the Young Turks were making fun of her. They were arguing with her.
We're in the era of listen and believe.
Yeah.
And this woman is writing about her. She says, "I'm not angry at the gay community. I'm not angry at my two moms. I'm trying to fucking tell ya." I wish I had a daddy.
Exactly.
Like that heartfelt, and you're laughing at her as an unperson. Good Lord. You know what? Go back to Rome. I'm sure you'd love watching those martyrs get eaten by lions.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It really, yeah. So originally I was really angry, and then I had to reshoot the footage because I figured, I don't know. I didn't want to be angry, and so that's when I was really more, I guess, more sarcastic and ready with the second footage of the Young Turks video. The video
I think you did it really well.
The prank. I forgot what they're called, but with the group of the Asian people. That one I really more figured I just let them speak for themselves, because I just really wanted to show people that this is the world I'm living in right now, that a woman can say, "Look, I wish I had my dad." And they don't even understand the importance a father brings to their children.
And a bunch of chuckleheads can just laugh at her and ridicule her.
Yeah.
I mean, we get accused of misogyny.
I know, right? Of misogyny. The amount of times I've been accused of being a misogynist.
Just wait for it. They're going to call you a racist at some point, too, for crying out loud. And I have never dealt so disrespectfully with somebody as they did.
Yeah. Because like even though I don't agree with everyone, I just I never would just like I don't, even when I say people are stupid, I don't really think that they're dumb people. It's really more like childish mocking. Like oh, you're an idiot, that's dumb. I don't ever actually think that these people don't have the ability to process information. It's really more the hypocrisy that I want people to focus on. It's not really the fact that they're just dumb idiots. It's that they're gigantic hypocrites. And there's exactly some level of cognitive dissonance that doesn't allow them to see it.
You say somebody's an idiot when you just demonstrate them contradicting themselves in the same speech, in the same video. You call them an idiot. These people call her an idiot for disagreeing with the politically accepted belief system.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's absolutely monstrous.
Yeah.
And seriously, kudos to you for refilming that, because it really stands out, like the nastiness and vitriol of it all. And maybe this makes me sound like a queer, but Depeche Mode rocks. And nobody's watched Orgasmo. But it really is a choice between love and hate.
Yeah.
Like when I get frustrated with people, like I have a more serious tone in my videos. I'm angry. I'm Italian. I'm very good at being angry. Passionate people, Mediterranean people. You are, like, we are very loving. It's not about dehumanizing the person. It's about being frustrated with them, frustrated with the untruth.
Yeah, it's about, with me, it's always about expecting more. And I realize, I don't know if you call it, it's a double-edged sword. I do expect a lot more from people who have these platforms, and people who have this responsibility. I think with great power comes great responsibility. Like, in all honesty, Spider-Man did have a gigantic impact on my moral framework, because, and that's really what it is. It's a frustration with how you don't see that you have an effect on these people, and that these people really do care about you, and that you really have a chance to really instill value in these people and let them learn and let them grow. But instead, you take advantage of that to just spread your propaganda and just spread your bullshit. Like, to hell with these people who really actually care about you. You're just using them, and that bothers me about it too.
The irony is that these people are all on the political left. And yeah, I don't know if you watched Captain Planet. Maybe it was before your time.
I did. I used to watch Captain Planet a lot. I can't say I remember it, but I did used to catch it. It
wasn't very good. But it's like the whole environmental mythos is that these evil corporations are just blindly and irresponsibly spreading, like they invent a brand new chemical that does something kind of useful, and then without any testing, without any, how will this interact with organic cells, etc., they just spread it all over the fucking planet, because there's a buck to be made. And there is some truth to that. The environmental movement from the 60s, 70s, I've read some of the case law. That's something I can get behind. It infuriates me as a capitalist that these short-sighted CEOs allowed it to come to the point where we needed lobby groups. You bloody idiots, you irresponsible fools. But that's sort of what these people are doing, is they're glomming onto an idea, e.g. rape culture, and they're spreading it with absolutely no concern about the men that will be falsely accused, what will happen to fraternities.
And you have to talk about the little boys, too, the children that get raised up. I mean, what kind of dumb phrases teach boys not to rape? Children, we were all children, so you have to on some level what gets me is how some people don't understand the psychology of children. Like, you were a kid at some point. You have to, there has to be some part of you that remembers that, right? You know, you don't ever instill in a child that their predisposition is to hurt people, because that causes them to hate themselves. Like, most men, most boys, they don't want to hurt women. They don't want to hurt anybody. But if you tell them that they have this innate nature, they just end up hating themselves. You can't teach a child that he has the potential to just go around and hurt the people he loves the most, because that's not even his innate desire. You know?
And this is so absolutely toxic with boys, especially. Now, I don't know if you're an uncle yet, but...
I don't know what that is, but...
An uncle? It's when your sister
an uncle yet. No, I'm not an uncle yet, no. I thought you said uncle yet. But no, I'm not an uncle yet.
Here's the thing about kids. Little girls have all the confidence in the world. This is genetically programmed into our species. Little girls just know how valuable they are. Whereas little boys are very shy and nervous and fragile. A little boy needs to be challenged to be a man, but very gently and responsibly.
Yeah.
A girl knows that nothing bad is going to happen to her. Maybe that's just contemporary child rearing policy. I don't know. But when you target little boys are so desperate to seek approval.
Yes.
You know, even from like infancy, baby girls will cry more than baby boys. Mm-hmm. Because a baby boy that cries too much gets thrown out. Gets tossed into Moloch's arms.
Yeah, because actually, like, if you pay attention to, like, the way boys go out and seek attention, like, boys don't ever actually just seek attention, you know, they seek admiration for doing something worthwhile.
Yeah,
you know, that's what a lot of boys seek out, is, you know, being told that they're meant something, or that what they do means something to somebody else. And they never really, like, need a gigantic show, but that does happen if you don't get that, you know, like, from your father. You know, going back to how your father plays a huge role in your life. You know, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't have a father, you wind up trying to seek the attention of other boys.
Mm-hmm.
And the elder, what kind of older boy hangs out with the younger boy? The criminals.
Exactly, yeah.
So they encourage you to do criminal behavior to prove that you're a real man, and you wind up setting something on fire or selling drugs for a living. And they blame this on... No, the problem is not masculinity. The problem is a deficit of masculinity that you engineered.
Yes.
Toxic masculinity is a symptom of feminism. And you want to tell these little boys that they're all rapists? Absolute monsters.
It's despicable, man.
What are the environmental consequences of your ideology?
And sometimes I kind of have to wonder, like, what exactly do they hope to gain? You know, like, because I say this on my channel all the time. You know, like, not every feminist is a bad person. Like, a lot of feminists that I've noticed, well, I won't say a lot, but some of them are really egalitarians that just call themselves feminists. You know, if you talk to them,
you know what? There's even the occasional Democrat that gives to charity.
Yeah, but yeah, some of these, they're not. And I have to acknowledge that. I know everybody. You can't really say everyone is bad, and I do want to stress that as a point on my channel too. Is you got to treat different people differently, you know. But the feminists who do preach this propaganda, you know, specifically them, I don't understand what makes them think that they're going to help anybody out. Like, they're grotesquely ignorant on how children think, or they're just evil. They're just, you know, there's no other way to put it. They're just evil to want to tell a child that their predisposition is to hurt other people.
You know what, good Lord, my only response to that is, you know what, and this is going to happen to you, and it's probably, if it hasn't already, it's going to happen to a lot of people listening. You are going to meet evil one day, and it is both pathetic and sad while also terrifying and dangerous. You know, when you look at what a feminist does, and again, a typical, take a Gail Dines or an Anita Sarkeesian, when you look at what they do with their lives, where they head, what their results are, it's pointless. I mean, like right now, Anita's making a few bucks, right? But, you know, what's the cost of that? What's the world she's creating? Is she creating a world where Anita Sarkeesian is happy and secure in her life? Or is Anita Sarkeesian creating a very unstable and dangerous world where she has millions of enemies? Evil doesn't make sense, and that's what's so terrifying about it. It's sad and broken and pathetic, but also very, very dangerous to everyone around it. And nobody wants to believe in evil. No, do you know that line from every sci-fi horror movie about vampires, where the vampire hunter says that no one would believe me if I told them?
Yeah. You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
I used to think that was nonsense, but it is absolutely true. Nobody will believe you. And if you start to show them evidence, if you start to show them the evil in the world, they will run away. They will block it from their mind. They will alter their own goddamn memories just to avoid acknowledging the existence of this. Because when you meet, and I'm not even talking about meeting like the demonic, I'm just talking about meeting a person that is so wrapped up in being evil, that is such a narcissist or such a borderline, that what they do is completely inexplicable.
Yeah.
Like the sort of person that will, just for example, they would pour lighter fluid on their own leg and light it on fire, just so they could phone the cops on you because you forgot their birthday.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I agree with you on that.
Nobody wants to believe that exists.
But it does. That's the crazy. It does. There are people. I saw a video the other day of a woman literally like almost jumped out of the car and then was like, "Why'd you throw me out? Like, why did you like do this to me?" And the guy had it on camera. Like he's recording. He's like, "Look, I didn't touch you." Like there are people who will legitimately do that. And you're right. It is terrifying. It's scary.
That almost exactly happened to. I saw that video as well. Aaron Clary had almost that exact scenario, where a woman was threatening to throw herself out of the passenger seat on the highway because he didn't offer to buy her a Slurpee at the gas station.
Damn.
When he would have been happy to buy her one if she'd asked.
Where did he meet her?
Like, the depth of evil does exist, and it is just so horrifying that we want easy evil. We want understandable evil. You know, we want the Nazis. We want the Red Skull.
Yeah. We want cartoon villains.
Instead, it's all around us, and... Now, this is an interesting thing. Forney commented to me that he thinks that there's a lot of... The manosphere is very dark. The people in the manosphere, you, me, him, etc., we are very aware of darkness. And I think it goes for, you know, most of the subscribers on here. These are people that are aware of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this is something I've found speaking to priests. And I'm not talking about your BS priest. Your hey, whatever feels good, give me money.
Yeah.
Profits be with you. You know, I'm talking like real legitimate priests that I have respect for, that I've seen perform good acts, are downright terrified of evil. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because you're not terrified of evil. I mean, you are, but as much as I am, I'm bloody terrified by it.
And honestly, it's one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is, do not treat evil for evil, but defeat evil with good. I think Romans is probably my favorite book in the Bible. Romans, MacLeod, both my favorite books in the Bible. But it's that scripture right there. You have to beat evil with good, and that's what I try to do with honesty and being straightforward. Because that's the only way you can combat evil. Is you gotta face it down.
Yeah, we don't defeat social justice warriors with hate. We defeat them with love.
Yeah. Because, and I think one interesting thing that I always say is, especially when it comes to like the slut shaming videos, is when people will say, you're misogynistic or you hate women. And like, well, think about it for a second, while you're calling me a misogynist. If I think you're doing something wrong, and I say maybe you shouldn't do that, explain to me how I hate you. I evidently have to care about you on some level if I don't think you should do something that I think is detrimental to you. And that's not me saying that you can't do it. I mean, physically you can, but maybe you should think about it. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Instead of, you can't really tell people what they can and can't do because physically they can. It's more about giving them the option. It's more about telling them that they can choose what they want to do, but you got to think about the consequences. And I don't think a lot of these feminists and social justice warriors want to even acknowledge the consequence. I think that terrifies them a lot more than the act itself. The mere fact that you even have to face something happening to you is why they try to avoid it, or why they say I hate them or something like that.
Well, that I think perfectly sums up everything with the left, with the social justice, with the to be melodramatic, the enemies of God, is that they want to deny consequences. I wish I could remember who wrote this, but somebody said that God never punishes you. God warns you about the consequences of your actions, but God never punishes you. God's the one trying to save you, for crying out loud. He's the one trying to say that, listen, if you do this, there will be consequences. Please don't.
Yeah, you should think about that.
And the whole leftist paradigm is this world without consequences. Where you get to have as much bizarre sex as you want, with as many partners as you want, and your future wife or husband does not judge you based upon your past behavior. This world where you get a completely useless degree, and yet you still get a job paying, the high 5 figures. They reject the consequences of their behavior. Don't tell kids not to play in the street. Tell the street not to run over kids that play there.
Yeah, and that makes sense to them. That makes sense somehow. I don't know. It's really crazy to me. And I think the interesting thing about that is nobody. I think it was you who said it in one of your videos on evil. Is a lot of people are really seeking good things. Evil's just going about it in the wrong way. And I think, in a certain extent, I'm sure a lot of them, they really want to do good things.
For the record, I miss that naivete. I really wish most evil was good people seeking after good things in a bad way.
I didn't say they're good people, but I mean, they're seeking after something good, or at least they think that it's good. Yeah. But,
one of the things I've begun to notice is how crime demands to be punished. Where, listen, if you and I, now I'm certain that everybody listening, we've all had the conversation about how I would rob a bank. or what have you. We've all discussed committing a crime in an intelligent way where we profit from the whole thing. But that's not why criminals commit crimes. It's not because they think they could profit. Ultimately, none of us robbed that bank, even though we had the perfect getaway car and perfect plan, etc. None of us did that, not just because we would be punished, but because it's not what we do. We're not dishonest people. The recent episode, Better Call Saul, really illustrated how the con artist does it because it's what they do. They like creating elaborate fictions that are false. And I really find like criminals are demanding to be caught. You know, they don't just commit a couple of crimes intelligently. They eventually need to commit the stupid crime. And honestly, that's something I really see with Sarkeesian. It wasn't enough just to make a whole bunch of bank, making a bunch of videos, a la Lindsay Ellis. She needed to become a consultant for whichever processor company it was.
Oh, I think it was Intel? Yeah.
Yeah, Intel. There's an ugly insanity to evil. There's a complete, like, it's not just trying to get what you want through the wrong methods. Eventually it becomes, this is exactly what you wanted the entire time. You wanted prison. You wanted your name to be dragged through the mud. You wanted all of these things. Kind of a economic revealed preference sort of a thing.
Gotcha.
Anyway, let's shift gears a little bit. Why the hell aren't you and I... Why the hell aren't you and I making bank being Let's Play wizards and critiquing pop? Why the hell are we...
Well, the simple answer is because we give a fuck about people. That's why. It's not about just indulging, ourselves. It's about actually producing content that does something for other people. Not to stroke my own ego, but I mean that's what I try to do, is give them something to work with, or something that'll help them. Yeah. As opposed to, I guess, a lot of these different narcissistic people I see on YouTube all the time.
Go on.
Gosh. Man,
Anyway, let's not name names.
Yeah, we'll have to name names, but...
It's way easier to criticize people without targeting them specifically.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a plethora to choose from, but you don't have to. The one gigantic problem that I really see with these people, these vloggers, is that ultimately, a lot of them are actually very sad people. And they'll even make videos and they'll admit to being depressed, they'll admit to being sad, they'll admit to having all these different kinds of deficits, and yet they have this platform where they just have people feeding their egos and just feeding that shell, like we were talking about earlier, just feeding that, and it's just not conducive to anything. It is just not going to help these people in the long run. What they need is to be challenged. What they need is to actually work through the problems, and if they want to keep making their comedy videos, that's fine, but to continue to feed off of that's the ultimate problem with a narcissist and egotistical person. And that's what I see in a lot of these different bloggers. They're so sad, they're so depressed, and there's just a lot of people who are just so sad, and they just get this massive platform to just indulge themselves in the attention I guess they never got when they were younger. Yes, one huge problem I see happening there. I
suspect a huge part of it is that People want to see other people being miserable. Isn't that exactly what reality TV is?
Yeah. That's why I don't watch it. I can't stand reality television. Actually, I think one of my philosophy professor put it best. He said, one day one of my friends told me to go watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So he said, I caught it on and I watched it. And I said, thank God these people have money. So he sat there and he said, now why would I possibly say that? He said, because these people are absolutely miserable. Thank God they have money, because their lives are terrible. And he's exactly right on there. These people are miserable, and they have these gigantic platforms to do nothing but feed their narcissism. And it's just terrible to me, that nobody affirms them and really tells them that, look, listen, you don't have to make a fool out of yourself and exploit your life. You need to fix your problems, and if you want to keep, doing the comedy videos, that's perfectly fine, but you can't feed off that,
There's nothing wrong with being a clown.
Yeah.
But don't live like a clown. Putting on an outfit and making people laugh, that's honorable. That's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, though. Thank God these people have money because they fucking need it.
Yeah.
The sad thing is that people are aspiring to be that these days.
Yeah. And you can see the misery in their lives, and it's just a really sad thing to me, it's really sad to see. These people are catty, they're in a bunch of drama. And I think one video I saw the other day kind of really put it best to me. So there's this girl, her name's like Piddle-Ass, and she was dating this guy named Syndicate, right? And they're both vloggers, and they both do videos together. And then when they broke up, a bunch of different subscribers in each of their communities, were going back and forth about it. And so Kate made a video where she was talking about, her personal life and what happened. And I was sitting there thinking that, this is the price of when you exploit yourself to get fame. That people have an invested interest in what you're doing, and now you can hardly even have a private life because you spend your entire life just airing about your personal details to a bunch of people you've never even met. You might see some at like VidCon, but I mean, it's millions of people, and you just exploit your own problems, for what? It's not to fix them, it's just, to get this platform. And I think it's terrible that this is what people aspire to be. These are like, these are role models, and they're not role models. They're not people who fix their problems. They're people who indulge in their problems for, I don't know, I guess, because it tries to fill in a void of a deficit that they very clearly have, but nobody wants to address.
Yeah, the voyeuristic society. Yeah, I saw this cartoon picture, which it was supposed to be this cartoon of the United States where you had like soldiers on the outside facing outwards, and then police facing inwards, and then the American family in the middle, and they're just watching the boob tube. But it's, they act like the boob tube is addicting you, like it's tricking you into watching this garbage. But with the internet, we are seeing the agency. Every time one of these SJWs sends an angry tweet to you or me, we are seeing the agency of voluntarily, not just voluntarily watching the boob tube, but eagerly participating in that reality. If God is very kind, there's going to be a great culling of the human race where all of the narcissists just won't have children. I don't think he's going to be that kind, but that would certainly be a utopia, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing.
If everybody that obsessed over human drama on the internet Yeah, as opposed to ideas, as opposed to philosophy, as opposed to whatever. If all those people just stopped having babies and
they just, I don't know what they'd have to do. Just do something else. I don't know.
Do you know what they'll be in future versions of Dungeons and Dragons? And they'll be the dead-eyed ones. CR rating of 3. Anyway, we've been going for a while. Zerse, you got any last thoughts for the folks out there?
Last thoughts. I don't know. Thanks for listening to us talk. I rather enjoyed speaking with E. Davis. Great times. And I don't know. Last thoughts. I enjoyed it. Hopefully somebody got something out of what we said, and hopefully we didn't hurt too many feelings today.
And you know what? That sets off my last thought. Is that, listen, everybody listening, you know who you are. You know, if there's a label that you identify with, and I made fun of the label, is that you? If it isn't, then I didn't make fun of you. So, final thought, try and minimize the butt hurt.
Yeah.
Zerse, absolute pleasure. And folks,